What's going on, everybody? LegnaK's here for a new series, and that series is 5 ways to use a Pokemon. And normally they're going to be out of meta styles. That way, you guys can try and experiment with some new things, and you don't have to use the same cookie cutter teams. Now, first off, we're starting with one of the best ghost types on the field. That is one of the least known. And no, obviously we're not talking about Giratina or Gengar or any other ghost type that you can guess. We're talking about the one, the only Drifblim. And no, we're not going to be using this stupid little mini Blim here. Mini Blim is the worst thing that can happen with Drifblim. Everybody hates Drifblim primarily for this. And I understand why. Drifblim is obviously one of my favorite Pokemon. And I even hate it when people use the minimized Baton Pass Will-O-Wisp substitute set. Nobody likes it because it's so hard to hit and it just makes everything not fun. Alright, so here are 5 other ways to use Drifblim. First and foremost, we got the Speed Control Drifblim, which is my personal favorite and the one I even run. It is typically you want to run a Modest Nature just because the Tailwind and everything will kind of put you in the lead for everything. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to have the BrightPowder on you. That way you have at least a little bit of survivability and not having to use that Precious Focus Sash on that you could use on other Pokemon such as Whimsicott or... I'm trying to think of other ones, bear with me. Whimsicott, Terrakion, even Bisharp. You know, great mons that you could definitely use that Precious Focus Sash on while you have the chance of, you know, the opponent missing. And it actually works a lot more than you think. Alright, so anyways, what you want with that is probably the Flare Boost would probably be your best bet, but pretty much every other one, Aftermath, is your second best. Shadow Ball, Weather Ball are your 2 greatest offenses. Weather Ball, especially for the now very prevalent Primal Groudon. A lot of Chlorophyll-based Pokemon are on the scene. Pokemon such as Shiftry, Exeggutor, well, those are 2 the main I can think of. Vileplume, Jumpluff are actually around too. And they become a pretty big threat, so this Weather Ball that becomes a Fire type really does shut them down, because not only that, you get that bonus to it, so it really does help. Tailwind, obviously, to help the rest of your team boost up. It doubles your speed, if I recall correctly. I don't remember. I definitely think it's either ups by stage or ups by 2 times. But either way, it's definitely good, especially Pokemon that are, you know, normally faster until Xerneas comes in with a Geomancy. Definitely a big problem on the field right now, because at this present second, Xerneas is one of the biggest commanding threats paired with Groudon for the VGC market. At least one of those teams are going to have the combination of the 2. Alright, so, and speaking of that, what you want to do is you also want to slow down other Pokemon, because there are a couple Pokemon that can do some major damage without using Cloud 9 on Groudon. And what you want to do is you want to slow that Groudon down, because a lot of the time Groudon is much faster, so you put that Icy Wind on this Drifblim, making him definitely one of your more powerful Pokemon. And it's also good against bigger threats like Rayquaza, Landorus, even Gliscor. They can't handle it because of that 4 times weakness. Salamence, any dragon type that are flying, dragon grass, you know, Sceptile doesn't stand a chance, and plus that Sceptile lands, it survives primarily on speed. You know, you get this Icy Wind down, it doesn't do anything. It's worthless. It's useless. So Icy Wind is actually one of the biggest factors. Speed is one of the biggest factors in this game. I think you guys can all understand and agree with me on that. That is one of the biggest things in this game. Second, okay, so let's leave this guy real quick. Let's move on to our next one, which is the Flare-Blim. Sorry about that. Alright, so the Flare-Blim is a little bit of a different one. I've never actually used this one or the Hindenburg set, so if you guys want to try it out, please let me know how it goes for you in the description. Speaking of which, each set will be in a copy-paste file in the description below. Alright, so with the Flare-Blim, the best thing to do, obviously, is Flare Boost. No other use for it. I mean, you can't use any other one for it. And you want to invest want to invest all of that special attack, 252, and then you probably want to go about half and half with the hit points and the speed. I say hit points mainly for that extra survivability. Understandable, right? Alright, so Timid or Modest are your best choices. I say Timid, that way you get the extra speed. What you want to do is you want to protect with that first turn so you can get that Flame Orb up, then probably trick that thing off. That way you can just get that out of there. You know, burn another Pokemon, you know, really shut them down. Weather Ball and Shadow Ball, again, two very viable moves, but you can switch out Weather Ball with anything you want. Psychic, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Icy Wind, you know, anything. Absolutely anything that, you know, Drifblim can use as a special attack is going to be a powerhouse. Because think of it, you go up by 1.5 times. That is about another 80 to your special attack. You can OHKO pretty much anything that is weak to it. Understandable. Alright, so moving on, we have our next one, which is a Pranksterkill-blim Drifblim. Now, it's a Choice Scarf Unburden set. Even though Trick doesn't activate Unburden, it's just the fact that you could switch in, you know, take somebody's, you know, Focus Sash, you could take somebody's Berry, anything. You get that Timid, you know, get that Timid trick going on. After a Prankster, you know, have a Pokemon that's got Quick Guard. Shuts down the Prankster. No problem. Put that Choice Scarf on them, they can't do anything. They're stuck with that move. Then you Thunder Wave, Tailwind, Hex. Even you could put Disable instead of Tailwind. That way you can have it, you know, Disable or Taunt or something. That way you can really shut down a Prankster with minimal issue. That's why I say use Timid. That way you have that 145 speed. You know, you're not exactly the fastest afterwards, but I don't think you really need to go any faster after that. Then you want the, you know, you want the hit points for survivability again. But Thunder Wave and Hex are definitely going to be your best bet. That way, if you do end up using it for, if you end up getting in the predicament that he's the last man standing and you think you can have a chance, Thunder Wave them. It gives them about 50-50 chance or a 30% chance, I don't remember, of them not moving. Then that Hex turns around, it doubles the power, and Hex is right there, 65% damage. That's 130. Yeah, that's 130 whenever it hits. That's deadly. You know, Drifblim is a deadly Mon, depending on how you use it. Next up is the Hindenburg. This is another set I've never used, and honestly, I don't know how well it is. This is kind of one of those that I kind of threw together just on a whim. Alright, so obviously you want to go for a different one, especially with Aftermath. You want Custap Berry because you're probably going to handle that hit. So you want Custap Berry, specially defensive, physically defensive, so you want to split them two. You want to put hit points right next. You want to max out those hit points because you want this little guy to survive as much as you want before the thing goes up in flames. You know, you can go by either way. Explosion, Destiny Bomb, Memento, Will-O-Wisp. Anything will shut down anything. Memento would shut down, you know, one of those prize attackers, you know, Landorus, Kangaskhan. They won't be able to do anything to your team afterwards. Destiny Bond, you know, you get that Custap Berry up, nobody expects that. The Custap Berry hit the Destiny Bond, they're gone. You know, losing good Pokemon like that. Explosion. It's not going to do as much as the rest of the stuff, but that's one of those things that if you want to end the batch in a bang, you know, if you know that you're going to win, like, say, their Pokemon are, like, incredibly low health, you hit that Explosion, it's over. That Will-O-Wisp also helps with the opponents. You know, your own team, you kind of probably will have a problem against physical attackers. Kangaskhan, Groudon. Well, Groudon ain't going to be affected by the Will-O-Wisp. But other physical attackers, Landorus, Bisharp, Talonflame. Well, again, Talonflame isn't going to be affected by the Will-O-Wisp. Non-fire type Pokemon are going to take a big crippling attack from this Hindenburg-based Drifblim. Because fire is one of the nastiest ailments that I can think of, aside from sleep. And there's one Pokemon that's definitely running around that's being a big sleeper, and I don't like it. And we'll get to him on a later point. Alright, so the next one is Wallblim, and this is the last one. Now, Wallblim is a little on the different side, given that this is a tanky Drifblim. Not many people hear that, especially with his rather frail defenses. Granted. But with his high with his high hit points and rather mediocre stats, It would be good, especially for a anti-Dark Void Smeargle, which who I was talking about, hinting at earlier, with the Magic Coat. Magic Coat is a priority move. You know, they go for the Dark Void, bam, it hits them back. So their team ends up going to sleep. Disable would be really good because, you know, you can sit there and you can disable whatever they're going to throw at you. You know, Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is the biggest threat against any Drifblim. And that's a big hitter, especially with Pokemon like Weavile. I think Weavile gets it. Kangaskhan's a big offender with it. So with those, you can disable that, and then your other Pokemon that are Psychic types, you know, will have free reign over it. Pain Split, you know, you get a little bit lower in that. Leftovers is just not cutting it. Pain Split it away. Will-O-Wisp, another one. You can sit there and you can cut them down. Yeah, it's not a physically offensive Pokemon. It's not going to offend. It's not offensive in any way, shape, or form. This Drifblim, but it is actually really good. And you also want to run a Calm Nature on this guy. That way you can get that little extra defense. You know, attack isn't going to do anything, so why not? It doesn't matter if you use Calm or... Let me figure out what this is the next one. Calm or Careful. Calm or Careful, it doesn't matter because you're not using any offensive at all. Aftermath is a good ability for that because a lot of people are going to go for these physical attacks, especially because the special defense is a little bulkier. At that point, they're going to hit, they're going to regret it. It's going to take out 25% of their health, which is going to be game changing because 25% of the health is still a lot of health. But that's the way that you can run a Drifblim. Drifblim has so many different opportunities to be used, but everybody almost goes for that mini. Almost everybody goes for that mini blim. Such a shame because, as I said, Drifblim has so much potential. It's such a good Pokemon, and quite honestly, it deserves to be a little more used. Definitely deserves to be a little more used. But hope you guys take a look at these, tinker with them, see if it fits your team or not. Maybe it's a good niche, maybe it's a niche that you were missing, maybe it's not going to be right for you. You know, it's not going to be the greatest Pokemon, but it's definitely going to be one of those mons that are going to be overly helpful. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Tell me what you guys see. Tell me what you guys, anything good with it, anything bad with it. If you got a suggestion of your own, feel free, let me know. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you see about it. But that's going to do it for today with these Drifblims. The 5-way to use a Pokemon. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.